You know how they always say, don't go in there after hours. They say it like it's a joke, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes those office lights don't just flicker. Sometimes the silence isn't empty, it's holding its breath. And sometimes you see something that changes the way you look at hallways forever. This is the story of the time I broke protocol during a late-night shift. I just needed one piece of paperwork, just 5 minutes in a dark office. But what I saw in there, it's haunted me ever since. I used to work overnight security for a mid-sized office complex just outside of Denver. It wasn't glamorous, and it sure as hell wasn't exciting. But it paid the bills, and most nights were uneventful. There were 3 buildings in total: the main office building, a smaller one where IT and storage were, and the big open parking structure on the north end. We rotated patrols, logged every 45 minutes, and kept tabs on motion sensors from a monitor room in the south wing. And there was one unspoken rule every night shifter knew: avoid room 3B after midnight. No one ever said it outright, at least not at first, but every guard before me made excuses when it came to that part of the 3rd floor. Too dark, too cold, motion sensor false alarms. Whatever it was, you just didn't hang around that section unless you absolutely had to. Of course, I didn't believe in that kind of thing. Ghosts, spirits, haunted offices, please. I was a grown man with a flashlight and a key card. Nothing was going to jump out at me from a cubicle. I learned that night how wrong I was. It was a Thursday night in mid-February. I remember because the heat had gone out earlier that day and hadn't been fixed by the time my shift started. The whole building felt like a walk-in freezer, especially on the upper floors. I had just finished my 2nd patrol and was settling in with a bad cup of vending machine coffee when the phone rang. It was Roberta, one of the senior day shift managers. "Hey, I know this is a weird request," she said, "but I left a file folder in my office on the 3rd floor. It's time sensitive. I need to send it first thing in the morning." "No problem," I said. "Which room?" She hesitated. 3B. It's the large office at the far end." Of course. I almost said something, some joke about ghosts, but I didn't want to sound ridiculous. It was just a superstition, right? On my way, I grabbed my flashlight and headed for the elevator. The halls were darker than usual. The emergency lights hummed in that awful way they do, buzzing faintly, like the building was holding its breath. The 3rd floor opened up to long, carpeted hallways, glass-walled conference rooms, and rows of cubicles. Everything looked normal, but I couldn't help feeling like I was being watched. It wasn't paranoia, not really. I mean, there were no cameras in this wing, privacy regulations, but still, the silence felt heavy, too heavy. My boots made soft thuds on the carpet. My breath puffed in little clouds in front of me. I reached room 3B. The large wooden door was shut. It had one of those frosted glass windows, and for a second, I thought I saw something shift behind it. But when I opened the door, there was nothing. The office was long and open plan, with several desks arranged in rows. Roberta's was the last one near the far window. The room was ice cold, not just unheated cold, unnaturally cold. I saw my breath curl again and again, even indoors. I hurried toward her desk, avoiding the eerie creaks of the old floorboards. I found the folder, blue with a red tab, and turned to leave. That's when I saw it. It was at the far end of the room, crouched between 2 desks, a dark figure hunched over, shivering. I froze. The figure didn't move. I thought, maybe it's just a coat on a chair. Maybe my eyes are playing tricks. Then I heard it. Breathing. But not normal breathing. It was chattering, gasping, like someone freezing to death. Short, shallow gulps of air. I stood still for what felt like a full minute. My heart was pounding in my ears, my hand clenching the folder like it was some kind of shield. And then, it turned its head. Not fully, just slightly. But I saw the glint of 2 eyes, not red or glowing, just wet, like tears on a frozen face. I backed away slowly. The figure didn't move, but the breathing got faster, louder, and then I heard the creak. One of the desks shifted just an inch. enough to make the chair beside it wobble. I couldn't take it anymore. I turned, rushed to the door, slammed it shut behind me, and sprinted down the hall without looking back. The elevator felt like it took hours. I stood with my back pressed to the wall, folder in hand, watching the hallway like a hawk. No footsteps, no sound, but I knew I wasn't alone up there. I finished my shift in silence. I didn't report anything. What could I say? Hey, there's a ghost on the 3rd floor. That would go well. But the next morning, when Roberta came in to pick up her folder, she noticed how quiet I was. "You okay?" she asked. I almost didn't say anything, but something made me ask. "Out of curiosity, you ever feel weird in that office?" She looked at me, eyes narrowing. "You went up there last night?" I nodded. "I hate that room," she said. "Always have. It's freezing in there even when the heat's on. I avoid it unless someone's with me." She didn't say ghost, but she didn't have to. We both knew. I started asking around, quietly. Turns out that room had a history. Back in 2009, a former employee had a breakdown. He'd started working late hours, isolating himself. Coworkers said he became obsessed with something. He thought the building was watching him. One night, they found him slumped over his desk, hypothermia. In a heated building, there were rumors, whispers that he'd been seeing things, that he'd complained of shadows, of breathing. The story never made the news, but everyone in security knew it, and no one ever stayed in 3B after dark again. A month later, I turned in my badge. I told them I found a better job, safer hours, better pay. But the truth is, I never went back to that floor. Even in daylight, the thought of that figure, the way it breathed, the way it looked at me, I still dream about it sometimes. The hunched shape, the cold breath, the eyes, like it wanted help, or worse, like it wanted me to stay. I don't work nights anymore. I don't walk past empty office buildings without feeling a chill crawl up my spine. And I'll never, ever ignore that feeling again. That warning deep in your gut when something just isn't right. Some places aren't haunted by death. They're haunted by the forgotten, by the cold, by the ones still stuck in the dark. So next time someone tells you to avoid a certain room after midnight, maybe don't ask questions, just listen. And whatever you do, don't turn around. If you've ever experienced something you can't explain, something that stayed with you in the dark, tell us in the comments. We'd love to hear your story. And if you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like and subscribe for more true horror every week. Stay safe out there, and remember, some doors are better left closed.